Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. For some time now, I have received a suggestion again and again about explaining project management, but not in terms of information technology, not in terms of the PMP certification, and definitely not in terms that someone from the project management industry is already aware of. Our highly successful training program PM101 has been appreciated by many, but it is targeted towards those that already have a basic understanding of project management. Hence, in this program today, I am talking about project management for non-project managers. So sit back, relax, and come along on this ride into the world of project management, specially designed for an outsider. All right, if you're thinking how this works, then this is how it works. We have 6 chapters to cover, and these 6 chapters will be covered in 6 sessions. This is session number 1, chapter number 1, and the rest of the 5 chapters will be available in the playlist, the first link in the description below. So what can you expect from this session, this entire training of 6 chapters? What can you expect out of this? First of all, we will be talking about project management all the way. So you can expect a lot of knowledge on project management, but this is project management for those who have not studied project management in the past. So not is the keyword in the coming sentences as well. Keep a tab on that. You do not have project management experience, or you may have very little project management experience. You are not PMP aspirant and you do not even know what PMP is. So if we talk about PMP all the time here, right? But if you're not a PMP aspirant, if you don't even know what PMP is, you should watch these 6 videos, these 6 chapters that are going to introduce you to the world of project management. You are not aware of the terminology used in the IT industry. Very important. You could be someone from some other industry, right? So you do not know the terms the IT industry uses. So if you're not aware of it, this session is for you. And finally, this is project management for someone who wants to spare some time to learn project management and get their foot in the door, get things started. So a quick introduction about me. I typically cover this when I am taking any offline training session. So here I'll just put this slide here. The important points are here. You can check out our website pmclounge.com as well as our YouTube channel youtube.com/pmclounge. So these are the 6 chapters I was talking about. We will start off with the basics of project management in this video. The remaining 5 videos, first link in the description below, the entire playlist. Second video is going to be about managing time, then building a team, working with project stakeholders, planning, scheduling, and budgeting. And finally, we will finish things off with managing risks. So this is the skeleton of the entire session. In this first video, the chapter 1, we are discussing the basics of project management. So the first topic, the basics of project management, is going to give you a fair idea of what you can expect from this session. And if you are able to follow me through this topic, then you can definitely follow me through the rest of the topics. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, keep your mind open, and let's get ahead. So something happened in the 1960s. This is when organizations realized that there is some benefit in organizing the work in a way that it turns into separate definable units. These units can then be worked upon through coordination of employees with different skill sets across the organization, of course. The first major use of project management was in the United States space program. So this is how project management actually came into being. But do you really understand what project management really means? You see, although the term is now universally familiar, not that many people fully understand exactly what project management involves. We tend to think of it as common sense and that anyone can manage by being calm and well organized. So actually, these are the qualities of a project manager. The project manager needs to have common sense. The project manager should be organized. The project manager needs to be calm. But then project management is a structured way of working. Structured is the keyword here. And recording events that can bring order and coherence to any set of tasks with a predetermined goal. So this is a definition of project management. Again, this is not from PMP exam point of view. This is not from IT industry point of view. This is project management as project management was supposed to be. A structured way of working and recording events so that you can bring order and coherence to any set of tasks which basically form up the project, right? So no, it is not true that anyone with common sense and anyone who's well organized and anyone who's calm can be a good project manager, but these are definitely qualities that are going to be helpful. Let's start off with step one now. So step one in understanding the basics of project management is going to be understanding of a project. What exactly is a project? So different bodies and organizations, they will define project on their own, right? But here's a common definition. A project is a task or set of tasks. Very important. A project is a task or set of tasks undertaken within specific timescales and cost constraints in order to achieve a particular benefit. I've already highlighted the keywords here. A project will be either just one task, which is, I assume, going to be a large piece of task, or it is going to be a set of tasks. Both of these can make up a project. But when you take up these tasks, you will have specific timescales and cost that you need to make use of, that you are allowed to make use of. And then obviously when you're done with it, there is going to be a benefit that you are going to receive, benefit attached with the project, right? So these are the keywords and this is a common definition of a project. Of course, like I said earlier, different bodies like PMI, different organizations, maybe your own organization can have different definition of projects, but this one is a common one. So within project, let's talk about point number A, the three stages of a project. So whether you're moving a house or whether you're arranging a party, you are actually doing a project. And there are three stages which is common in a project. Number one is identify the benefit of undertaking the project. When you move a house, you move a house. That's the benefit. When you arrange a party, you have a good time. That's the benefit, right? Work to produce the result that will satisfy the need. So what is the work that you need to do to be able to move the house or to be able to successfully arrange a party? That's the second stage of a project. And finally, the third stage is use, operate, or enjoy the benefit once the work is done. This is also a stage of the project. And I'll tell you why it is a stage of the project. When you use your new home, you may come up with requirements that were missed when you moved your house, right? So that can be a follow-up project as well. So these are the three common stages to all projects, whether you're producing a physical product like let's say a bridge or a machine, an event like a rock show or a sporting event, or a change that is like moving a house or reorganization. These all are projects and these three are the common stages to all kinds of projects. So point number B within the step 1 of project is the 3 parameters of a project. And any kind of project that you pursue, in addition to the stages that we just talked about, you will have to consider these 3 parameters as well. Number 1 is time, which is also known as schedule, the time in hand, right? Or the schedule. You may have a plan of when you will be doing what task within the project. And then you've got the cost, of course, and finally quality, which is also referred to as performance or maybe a specification or a spec that is given to you by someone, or you may have created yourself for a house move. What should be the spec? What is the quality that you're trying to achieve, right? What kind of house move do you really want to do, right? So time, cost, quality, these are the 3 parameters of every single project out there. Let's talk about the triangle. Some people call it the iron triangle as well. So these three, time, quality, cost, these three are represented in a triangle because they conflict each other throughout the project. And what do we mean by conflict? So you cannot really expect high performance within short time and low cost. So this is the triangle, the time, cost, quality triangle. If you're looking for high performance, that means a very high quality, right? Very high specification. If you're looking for that, you cannot achieve that in less time, in a short duration, and in low cost, in cheap, right? So sometimes one of these could take precedence. For example, a mobile phone manufacturer have to release a phone in the upcoming MWC event. So the time becomes of utmost important here. So when the time is utmost important, it is possible that the cost takes a hit. The company is okay to spend more to be able to meet the timeline, to be able to meet the MWC event. All right, so let's talk about the project structure. Point C in step 1 project. What is a project structure? It basically represents that everyone in the organization has well-defined responsibilities. So if you want to introduce project management in your organization, you need to make sure that a project structure is also in place. Everyone in your organization has well-defined responsibilities. Everybody knows what they are supposed to do. Actually, in simpler words, everyone involved, everyone working on projects, they should know what they are doing and why, how it must be done, and by when it must be done. So all these questions, everyone involved in the project should have an idea of all these questions and the answers, of course. So we've talked about the stages of the project, the parameters of the project, and the structure of the project structure. And you should now be in a position to define what a project is. 4 things, 4 points that I can easily define a project in. Number 1, a project will always have a finite and defined start and end date, or a specific lifespan, right? A project will always have that. A project aims to produce a product or a measurable benefit. Very, very important. A project is going to contain a corresponding set of activities designed to achieve the benefit or the product, whatever that you are pursuing the project for. And finally, a project has a defined amount of resources, be it the money, which is the cost, be it the time, which is your schedule, or be it any other resources, let's say physical resources or team resources, human resources, right? So every project is going to have a defined amount of such resources. An important thing to bear in mind here is that projects are also finite, which we talked about in the first point. They are going to have a definite beginning and end dates. So if this is unclear to you, and if you and others that you know are working on a project, working on something which does not have a proper goal in sight, you need to know that it is not a project. So this is a project. It should have these 4. But if you don't have a goal in sight, what you're working on is actually not a project. All right, if you're wondering why we are not speaking the language of PMP, then that's because this session is project management for non-project managers and non-PMP aspirants. If you are a PMP aspirant, if you are a project manager already, then head over to pmclounge.com/pm101. This is a free 1.5 hour introduction to project management session, which will help you kickstart the journey of PMP certification. So by now you already know what a project is. Projects basically do three things. They create something new, they are going to bring about a change, and they are going to help organizations develop. This is why organizations pursue projects. But at the same time, it is important to ensure that these projects, they stay on track and they don't lose focus. They should not lose focus of bringing about a change or developing something new, right? They should also stay on track. And this is where the project manager comes in. And the job of the project manager is to do project management. But I haven't defined project management yet. We haven't gone there. So let's deep dive further into project management. All right, let's look at three areas of project management. The number one is business. Now, all projects, every single project that your organization takes up, it needs to support the business strategy of the organization, right? Which domain is your organization trying to enter? And the project can be as simple as installing Wi-Fi in the office to support BYOD. BYOD is basically bring your own device. I understand this could be a bit of an IT terminology, so I thought of letting you know. Bring your own device. So everyone in the organization, let's say you realize that in your organization everyone needs to work on some sort of device and your organization needs to provide that device. That could be a computer, that could be a laptop, a tablet, or even a phone. Now, let's say you come up with a strategy, you come up with a project to install Wi-Fi in the office so that people can bring their own device itself, right? They can bring their own device. They already have a phone with them. They already have a tablet or laptop with them. Then they can bring their own device and they can connect to the office Wi-Fi and start working, right? So this is the project that you're taking up. The business strategy, this is the business strategy as well. The business strategy is to move every single employee on their own devices. So before starting the project, you should have clear answers to what the project is. The project is to install Wi-Fi, of course. What its targets are. The targets is basically every single employee of the organization, right? The target is to make sure that they are able to connect to Wi-Fi from their own devices. And what are the business benefits? The business benefits are actually huge here. The organization does not need to provide a device anymore. They are saving costs, right? So if the organization is able to provide Wi-Fi, a good Wi-Fi with a good speed so that people can bring in their own devices and work on their own devices, then the organization need not spend money in purchasing those devices. So that's the business benefit, uh, saving in cost. So this is also the job of project manager, to find answers and explain to the project team. So the project team who is working on this Wi-Fi installation should know the benefits that the project is going to bring to the organization. This is going to motivate them to do their job. And like I said, it is project manager's job to find answers to these questions and let the project team know about the answers. So this was the first area of project management, which is purely related to business. So the second area of project management is people. And it is possible that you might have heard about this. Project management is people management. It's true. It's definitely true. And I'll tell you the kind of people that you need to work with. First of all, you need to identify and appoint the right people at the right job. That's something that you would do in the beginning itself. Then you need to manage the stakeholders of the project. You need to make sure that everyone involved in the project is on the same page. All of that is part of people management. In fact, in the last slide, when we talked about business, the business area of project management, we talked about how it all boils down to giving the answers to the project team, right? So the project team is motivated. That also had something to do with people management, right? Because you want to make sure the team is motivated at all times. So people management, although it is not just the only part of project management, people management is not equal to project management, but people management is definitely a big part of project management. And finally, the third area of project management is control. Now, what do I mean by control? So taking control involves, but is not limited to, the following: planning the path of the project or the sequence of activities. That is how you're going to control the project. This is something that is a big part of project management. You need to do risk assessment, right? What could go wrong? That's something you need to do. You need to identify skills and resources required for the project. You need to consistently check the progress of the project. You need to monitor consistently, right? You need to adjust the project course to make sure targets are achieved. So all this is part of control. These are things that you need to do as part of control to be able to manage the project. So control was the third area of project management. We talked about business, we talked about people, and we talked about control. These are the three important areas of project management. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about the skills of project management. What all skills are project managers supposed to possess? And juggling is actually a good skill to possess. It's just that these balls, they refer to something else. These balls, they refer to plans, budgets, people communications, among others, while also managing the three parameters: time, cost, quality. So these are basically some of the things, some of the skills that the project manager needs to juggle all the time. In addition to that, project manager is also expected to have some level of technical knowledge, and project manager should also have enough clout to influence other decision makers. You know, many times it so happens that you are the project manager, but no one that you are working with actually reports to you. The project manager role could be of an individual contributor. Now, how do you get things done from others? You need to have enough clout to influence the decision makers, to influence the team members. So, a lot of balls here, a lot of things to basically juggle, and that's what the role of project manager demands. These are the skills. And actually, we are not done. There are some business skills and interpersonal skills that the project manager should possess. Let's take a look at them. So the business skills that a project manager needs are: plan all aspects of the project. So the project manager should be a good planner, should be able to monitor costs, efficiency, and quality without generating extra work for the team. So quality should be maintained, efficiency should be taken care of, cost should be monitored, no extra work should be generated for the team. Control the project using technical, general management, as well as problem solving skills. So the project manager should possess technical skills, general management skills, as well as problem solving skills. Involve the whole project team in decision making. It helps boost trust and productivity, which is something that you definitely need from your team. So it is important that you involve them in all major decisions of the project. Get things done right the first time itself so that you don't have to repeat. Get the right people for the right task at the right time. May sound cliche, but is definitely a skill that you should possess. And finally, focus on results. So these are some of the business skills that a project manager must possess. Now let's take a look at the interpersonal skills. So the interpersonal skills are lead by both example as well as taking a backseat when appropriate. This is very, very important. As a project manager, people tend to think that they need to be in the front line at all times. That is not correct. Sometimes as a project manager, you need to take a back seat as well. Negotiate with decision makers when required on parameters like schedule, budget. So let's say you're going beyond the schedule. Let's say you need more money. You need to negotiate as a project manager. You should be able to negotiate with the decision makers who are going to give you extra budget, who are going to give you extra time to meet the project deadlines. Motivate the project team, very important. Build relationships, communicate clearly and unambiguously. As a project manager, you will be telling people what they should be doing, and thus it is very important that your language is unambiguous at all times. All right, let's move on and talk about step 4, project life cycle. What is a life cycle? So projects, they tend to have a natural progression. What do we mean by natural progression? So let's say your project is to construct a bridge and you're done with that project, and you get another project which is again building a bridge. So the steps that you followed, the stages of the project that you followed in the first project is going to be pretty similar to the stages in the second project, that is building a bridge for the second time. This holds true for developing software as well. Whatever stages that your project went through the first time you developed a software is most likely the same stages that you are going to go through the second time you develop a software. So these stages are precisely the project life cycle. The project stages are precisely the project life cycle. So although each project is different, like building a bridge and developing a software are two tremendously different projects, but it is important to understand the general flow of the project. And let's take a look at that general flow in the next slide. Okay, now this may look scary, but it is going to make a lot of sense in some time. This is the project life cycle, and you start off with the first stage, which is evaluate ideas. Now, like I said earlier, whether you're constructing a bridge, whether you're developing a software, this general project life cycle, all the stages that we are going to talk about is going to applicable to every single project. So what do you do in the evaluate ideas stage? You establish the business need of the project, you assess the benefits of the project, you identify risks, you identify schedule, cost and resources required, and you're going to document all of it. So this is when you are evaluating ideas. This is something that you are doing. So next stage is define and design. So this is where you need to get into further details of the project. You need to answer questions like how will you manage the project, how will you divide the responsibilities, how will you track progress, and how the business needs will be met as part of this project. So these are the questions you need to answer in the define and design phase. Of course, you need to document them, and when you do so, you will have good enough plans and designs that you can start to build upon. And that's where the next stage comes into the picture, which is build and test. So once you have started building the product of the project, next thing you are going to do is testing. So testing is required at intervals to ensure everything is working as it is meant to. Once you have done with the build part and the test part, again, I'd like to remind you, whether you're constructing a bridge, whether you're developing a software, all these stages are going to be applicable. The next stage is implement, pilot, and launch. You're done with the building part, you're done with the testing part. Finally, you will go ahead with pilot and launch. So pilot testing help you actually make use of the product of the project for real world evaluation. Your bridge is ready, but you're not going to open it for public use the next day. You need to do some kind of pilot testing to make sure that in the real world your bridge is just as useful. And then when you launch, that's when you're making the bridge available to the public. Now, if there are any processes or systems or training required before the launch, do you need to train people on how they should be using the bridge? Not really, but do you need to train people on how they should be using a certain software? Yes, maybe. So if the training is required, you need to make sure the people that are going to use the software get that training. That is also part of this stage in the project life cycle. Finally, evaluate and monitor. Find out if the project is delivering the expected benefits. What were some of the lessons that you learned during the course of the project? You can document them so that in the future, when you build another bridge or develop another software, you can make use of these lessons that you have learned. So this is a general project life cycle. This is going to be applicable to all the projects, regardless of the industry, regardless of the nature of the project. Now, don't be scared. I'm not going to explain all the stages to you again, but why I showed this slide here is that these stages, they don't necessarily flow through in one smooth sequence, right? So let's say you are right now building and testing, but it is possible that you may go back to the evaluate ideas stage again because possibly you missed out on something. Possibly you were not able to assess the benefits that this project is going to offer, right? So it is important to note that all these stages of the project in the project life cycle, they do not go through in one smooth sequence, right? However, it does act as a good roadmap and none of the stages should be missed out no matter what kind of project you are working on. Even if your project is a small project, you should make sure that all these project lifecycle stages are followed. Okay, so let's look at some of the quick wins from this chapter. You need to understand the difference between project and ongoing work, which is also known as operation. So if you're working on something that has specific goal, a specific start and end date, you're working on a project. If you're working on something which does not have any end date, which does not have any goal that you can think of, it is possible that you are working on operations and not on projects. You need to understand that project management is a way of bringing about a change in an organization. And how do you do that? You do that in a controlled fashion with minimum disruption to the rest of the business. If you're in charge, review your project management skills, which involves both business and interpersonal skills. You need to upgrade if necessary. Don't skip any of the stages in the project life cycle that we talked about in the previous slide, even if your project is small. Something to remember. Be prepared for resistance, conflicts, and internal politics. This is something that happens everywhere, so you have to be prepared for it. And then finally, keep your eye on the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the goal of your project. Keep your eye on that, and you should not get distracted with the details. So that's all that we had in chapter 1. It's time for you to move on to chapter 2, which is managing time. Click on the link on your screen right now or the first link in the description below and head over to chapter 2. See you there.